So in order to keep your attention spanned, I will say immediately that Maharaga shows up in this chapter. I know some of you have already seen these spoilers, but in case you haven't, I am not lying, I'm not trolling. Maharaga genuinely shows up, and it's pretty wild. And that's exciting, but also funny because we literally talked about this in last week's review on Sunday. And we didn't even really know that this was going to happen. It wasn't guaranteed at all, because we were just speculating about how Yuka could fight against Deborah, how she could win. We were saying like, oh, maybe she has the 10 shadows because of the ambiguous way that her curse technique worked. And it turned out, yes, she does have the 10 shadows, and yes, she can summon Maharaga. I know I'm skipping around, but I just wanted to, give you the big reveal in the beginning of the video so you have incentive to stick around for at least a couple minutes. Now, let me also point out that it is being said in the beginning of this chapter that we are going into the final battle here, which, we assumed the fight against Deborah would be, which means that we are also heading into like the ending of the series very soon. And very soon, I mean in a couple weeks. And I know a lot of you already knew that this was going to be the case, but let me just also reiterate this for anyone who doesn't know or who is confused. And I'm also going to have to talk about this again on Sunday, so forgive me, guys. But when this series originally came out, I think it's September or whatever, Gege said that it was only going to be like 3 volumes long. And the first volume covers the first 7 chapters. So given that, the series is probably only going to be like 21 chapters long, maybe 25, somewhere around there. Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but it's not going to be as long as you think it would be. And that makes sense because, this fight against Deborah is going to be a couple chapters long, and then I guess we'll go into the epilogue, so yeah. And I'll give more thoughts on the brevity of this series on Sunday. I don't want to lose your attention span, so we'll talk more about what's happening in this chapter now. So we're cutting to Mino with Yuka at that airport thing that we saw in the previous chapter. Like, it was Yuka going to this final battle here, and she's getting put into this wheelchair. When she eventually does get dropped off, it's like she just falls out of the plane and then lands where Deborah is, like in, I guess, Tokyo. I guess they have to do this because the way that Tokyo is. I mean, also, it's just going to be a cool sequence in the anime. But we see Yuka reminiscing on things with Tsurugi. I'll go more into this dialogue on Sunday because the translation isn't perfect here, but I mean, it's pretty good. But the sad thing that's happening here is that Yuka is, I guess, experiencing dementia or something because, she does have that brain tumor that is accelerating faster than what they initially thought. But she only has a couple weeks left to live, basically, and her brain is like deteriorating at a fast rate. And she's confusing Mino for Tsurugi here. Now, it was also hinted by Tsurugi in the previous chapter that Yuka is going to do some kind of binding vow that, I guess, gives up the remaining lifespan that she has to make her stronger. Kind of like what Gon does in Hunter x Hunter. That's not being mentioned in this chapter. I'm sure it'll be revealed later on. Hey guys, we're almost at 300K. We have less than 1,000 subs to go. If you could subscribe, that would be amazing. I really appreciate it, guys. And also like the video too. Let's try to get 3,000 likes. Probably not gonna get it, but can try. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. But before she gets released from the plane, we're coming to Deborah, kind of just chilling in Tokyo, waiting for the fight to start. And out of nowhere, Yuiui, the brother of Mei Mei, the little guy with the teleportation ability from the first series, he approaches Deborah. So he's kind of dressed like the Grim Reaper here, and he has like the same type of braid that Mei Mei had. But he's like freaking huge. Like, he's very muscular and imposing. And he also has like 3 kids with him who are like, I guess, his grandkids. So Yuiui was like, I don't know, 11, 12, somewhere around there in the first series. So he would be in his 80s at this point, I guess. And he's like, in a weird way, thanking Deborah for fighting or coming here because the new generation of sorcerers don't know the true violence or something, or they don't know what true battle is. And he's happy that we're going to see something like that because we haven't seen anything like that since Sukuna almost 70 years ago. That's pretty much what he's saying here. And Deborah's like, I do want to show you a pretty good display of power, but if I don't have a worthy opponent, then I can't really do much. And then Yuiui's like, don't worry, I think you'll be satisfied. And then he dips out of there. Yuka gets dropped from the plane, and as she's falling to the ground, she immediately starts summoning Maharaga, and she like falls into the shadow of Maharaga beneath her. And then like Maharaga comes up, and then Yuka's kind of gone. So I think she becomes Maharaga. We're gonna have to go over this on Sunday, but I don't really think it's even being explained what's fully happening here. Because, you know, like we talked about last week, speculating about Yuka's curse technique, it seems like the 10 Shadows adapts to her body rather than her summoning like an external Shikigami. So I guess either she becomes Maharaga or she goes into like the 10 Shadows dimension or whatever and just chills there or something. Your guess is as good as mine. Tell me how wrong I am in the comments, I guess. But after Maharaga is summoned, Deborah just immediately starts lighting it up with like these light beam things. This is apparently Deborah's curse technique. It says that his curse technique, which I don't know, one of the words is like censored here. It says blank and light. It's a killing intent that possesses actual mass passed down among the Deskunte clan. And it's something impossible for humans to articulate. So he has like tangible killing intent. It's basically just like these light pillar things that he can like stab you with. He can also like stand on them. Like he makes like a tower out of them. I don't know. I guess they'll go more into it in the next chapter, but they kind of look like fluorescent light tubes. In a way, like he could just manifest these cursed energy light tube things that are actually his killing intent manifested into a tangible form, and he like lights up Maharaga with these, and Maharaga's like stabbed all over his body, but he's still alive, of course. And the narration says in the very last panel of the chapter that for the first time in history, Maharaga's adaptation will be against an extraterrestrial's curse technique. So yeah, in theory, Maharaga will adapt to this if he doesn't get killed first. And this is going to be really interesting because it says that Maharaga's ability can adapt to any phenomena. So even aliens, even something crazy that's off-world, Maharaga should in theory be able to adapt to it. I mean, he adapted to freaking Limitless from Gojo. So I'm sure he can adapt to whatever Deborah is doing here. Now, it's obviously not just going to be that easy. It's very likely Deborah just kills Maharaga because he could, right? Because if you just kill him before he's able to adapt to your abilities or whatever, he'll just die and then it ends there. So maybe Yuka like pulls in enough data or something and then goes back into her Yuka form or whatever. Again, it remains to be seen what's going on here. And then she on the fly makes some kind of technique the way that Sukuna did in order to defeat Gojo, but she does this with Deborah. But then again, that's just Gege recycling what he did in the original series, which I guess he's kind of just been doing anyway. There's also another thing I want to mention about Yuka, and it's the possibility of her dying from her brain tumor instead of just being killed by Deborah, but I'll get more into that on Sunday. And also, you know, Yuji still might show up. Man, this is a really interesting chapter. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, guys. If you liked it, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.